Okay, I'm going to clear this up quickly, succinctly, and accurately. And not only am I getting a lot of questions on this, I see a lot of talk about this on the photography forums. This is why Fujifilm is calling GFX sensor quote unquote large format. And it only confuses people that are not old enough, nor did they grow up in the days of film. Let's be really logical, and this will be irrefutable, and then you'll see, now I understand, okay? Back in the days of film, large format, and I shot both, was 4x5 and 8x10. Really, really huge, and didn't matter who made them, they were extremely cumbersome. Here in the days of digital, because film is dead, the only thing that you could technically call, and they're not photography sensors, okay? They are technically, but you're talking about multi-mega million dollar telescopes. By the way, I got a price quote on this one. It's $375,000. That's just the sensor only. And just for giggles, this is the back of it. The back of it you actually feed with liquid nitrogen to cool it down, and God knows how much the telescope is, between $5 million to $100 million. You see, these are not for photography. These are the only thing you could technically call large format digital sensors, but they're not for any type of photography any earthling would use, unless you own a $100 million telescope, okay? So you want to call this large format? By the way, this is 112 megapixel, 95 millimeter by 95 millimeter. You know why the sensor is squared, by the way? It's because every lens on Earth, including the most expensive telescopes ever made, all do the exact same thing. They drop an image circle. They don't drop 3 by 4 aspect ratios or any aspect ratio. Every lens on Earth, including telescopes, drop a circular image. That's why the really, really, really expensive stuff are all square sensors like this 95 millimeter. Now the reason, and Fujifilm gave in the recent announcement on the GFX 100, they called it the medium format sensor, but what the president of Fujifilm told you, which you probably didn't watch the interview, is that he called it a medium format sensor, which it is, because anything that is larger than 35 millimeter is, of course, de facto medium format. But what he said is, and I'm trying to remember his exact words because I just watched it 2 seconds ago once again, is that we have to change that in the digital age because there is no super huge sensors like 4x5 and 8x10. There's not, except for mega million dollar telescopes. And he said specifically, in the video industry, all medium format sensors are typically called large format sensors. So this is actually why he is specifically calling the 3.4 sensor, which is what a GFX sensor is. So here's a 3.4, which is a GFX sensor, and a phase 1, which is, or Hasselblad, is a 4.2 sensor. And I'd like you to take a look at this chart, and it makes things really, really simple. Here we got cell phone sensors, we got the micro penis sensor. Excuse me, sorry about that. The micro 4/3 sensors, crop sensor, APS-C, i.e. DX sensors, 35 millimeter, which is 24 by 36 millimeters, and 44 by 33 millimeters, essentially, on the GFX Type 3.4 sensor. So we got three different groups here: small, the dinky stuff, medium, and large. And this is all camera sensors. In other words, and when I say all camera sensors, I mean a camera where you can take the lens off and carry it around, not like a $500 million telescope that is, on a 200 million ton concrete swiveling base on the top of some mountain. That would be the only thing that we'd actually technically call a large format. So back in the days of film, this was medium format, right? 6x7, 6.45, yeah. But now in the digital age, because film is dead, for all intents and purposes, yes, girlfriend, film is dead. We have these. This is all camera sensors. Can I make that clear? Now we got small, medium, and large. And this also, too, is what current videographers refer to as a large format, because that's as large as it gets for cameras, for digital recording. Yes, indeed. It is not this $375,000 beast. No, and that is why the president of Fujifilm, he said, You can watch the video interview. It's still up on YouTube. He said, yes, it's technically medium format, but he said in the days of digital, we need to change that. It's still medium format, but we're going to call it large format because that is what the video folks have been referring to it now for some years. So it wasn't like everybody keeps saying, well, this is Fujifilm's invention that they, you know, uh, just pulled out of the air somewhere. Oh, this is marketing BS from Fujifilm. Or they're calling it large format. No, they're stating a fact, and the fact is that these are all camera sensor sizes right here. Small, medium, and large. This is the groupings right here. And it doesn't get any larger than this group right here. Not for actual cameras that actual photographers use for actual photography. Unless, of course, you want to count a $100 million telescope with a liquid nitrogen cooled 95. And by the way, this is 112 megapixels. So for $375,000, you are getting 10 more megapixels than the GFX. I think this center section right here is like 30 pounds. Yeah, that doesn't include the liquid nitrogen that you actually hook onto the back right here. You see that? Yeah, that would be technically, ultra technically, large format, right? Digital, large format digital. Yeah, but anyway, we're talking about digital, not the days of film. So, yeah, I think I made that very clear. It's hyperlogical, it's hypersensible, and now you can see why Fujifilm has been calling this the large format sensor, because for all intents and purposes, did I say purposes? For all intents and purposes, that's as good as big as it gets. That's it. So I hope I cleared that up because apparently nobody else had the brains or the wherewithal to state the obvious. To me, this is just bloody obvious, but apparently it's not. Everybody else is scratching their heads. So everybody else been saying, why has Fujifilm been calling this large format? I don't get it. Like, you don't? Okay.